All right. Hello everyone. So this is our pre-lab discussion on the last experiment of your biochemistry course or lab course, which is on enzyme digestion, experiment number 7. And basically, this is an integration of almost everything that we have talked about or we have tackled in our laboratory experiments, particularly dealing with three biomolecules, yung carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. So we will look at the effects, of the different enzymes that can digest these biomolecules. Um, so we will basically explore some parts of the digestive system, because the enzymes that we will be dealing with in this experiment are enzymes that are found in our digestive system. So particularly in this diagram, we have enzymes found in our mouth, yung salivary amylase, right? So as mentioned here, when you chew your food, your saliva, actually it contains enzymes called salivary amylase that will start to digest carbohydrates. So we will be looking at that. And then moving to the stomach, we will look at the enzymes present in our stomach, and we will mimic the acidic nature of the stomach. All right. To look at how our stomach can digest proteins. Then we have small intestine, all right, wherein you also have enzymes here, particularly in the duodenum, all right, to digest the lipids that are present in our food, or in the food that we intake. Okay, so going first to the mouth, all right? So when you chew, all right, you start to break your food into small pieces, so it allows your food to have a larger surface area wherein your enzyme can act, all right? And your salivary amylase will start to digest your starch, into smaller polysaccharides, all right? And your lingual lipase, lipase is another enzyme, will begin to break down your fats. All right. So in the experiment, we will be sort of simulating the digestion of carbohydrates. All right, particularly the hydrolysis of starch using salivary amylase. So in this experiment, one student per group. All right, you must be healthy at the time that you will be doing this experiment. All right. So one student per group must provide at least 3 ml of their saliva sample. All right. Now, if your saliva is frothy, then you need to add more saliva. Right. So we don't include the froth in the measurement of the volume because the froth contains a lot of gas. Okay. So if you are shy in obtaining the sample inside the classroom, you may collect your samples in the restroom. Okay. Actually, for all the experiments that we will be doing here, it will require water bath incubation at 37 degrees Celsius. No? So one of the reminders that I have later is to make sure that when you prepare your water bath, no, it can fit about 15 test tubes if you want to do the incubation simultaneously. But we have a lot of time, so you can actually do the incubation batch by batch. No? Just make sure to manage your time wisely. Okay, so you will be preparing 4 test tubes with different combinations of distilled water, starch, and saliva solution. Okay, so test tube H and I will sort of act as the negative control, while your J and K now will act as your positive control. And we will check using Felling's test and iodine test, all right, if the starch were properly hydrolyzed. Okay? So starch is a non-reducing sugar. Okay? So we don't expect it to test positive for Fellings if it's not hydrolyzed properly. Okay? If it is hydrolyzed properly by your saliva, then of course we expect that it will test positive, okay, for Felling's test, because you start uh to break down your starch into smaller sugars, which will make your sugar reducing. Okay. In test, of course, it should test positive if starch is still present in your solution. But if starch is already broken up, all right, by your saliva, then of course we expect a negative result for the iodine test. All right, now moving on to the stomach. All right, so in the stomach, you have a lot of gastric juices. Okay, you have an enzyme called pepsin. All right, that breaks down your proteins, no, into smaller polypeptides. Okay, so in this experiment, we will be looking at the activity of pepsin. Okay, so you will be preparing 3 test tubes this time. All right, with different compositions of the raw egg white, distilled water, pepsin, and 0.1 molar HCl. All right, test tube A will act as the negative control because it has no pepsin. Test tube B will be your positive control. All right, and we will look at the effect of pH here, actually, no? Because in test tube B, right, you will add HCl, and we have to make sure that the pH is less than 3.0, okay, to mimic the conditions that are present in our stomach. While in test tube C, we have our pepsin, but we have to make sure that the pH is above 4.0 to check the effect of the pH on the activity of the enzyme. Okay, and then we will incubate at 37 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Now we will do burette test, all right, okay, to check for the presence of proteins, no? Or if your if your proteins have been hydrolyzed already. Okay, of course, if our proteins are hydrolyzed, then we expect the solution to test negative, okay, for burette test. Otherwise, it will tell us that the protein is not hydrolyzed properly. Okay. But of course, you have to expect that for, well, at least now for test tubes B and C, because you have a pepsin, which is a protein in itself that is present, you still expect a change in color, okay, but not as much as in test tube A. Okay, so let's see that. Now let's see that in the experiment. Now, when you go to your duodenum, all right, which is the first part of your small intestine, all right, you have different pancreatic juices, okay, that contains digestive enzymes, right, to continue digesting your macronutrients. Okay, so we have pancreatic lipase that will break down your lipids or your fats present in your diet. Okay, so here we will look at the effect of pancreatin, all right, and its ability, okay, or theoretical ability to digest your lipids. Okay, so here you will have 4 different test tubes, okay. um you will have to bring all-purpose cream, okay, but you don't need much. Each group will only need 8 ml, so I think as a class 8 times around 7, so it's around 56 ml, no, for some of my classes. Okay, for my classes which has 6 groups only, then you only need 48 ml, no, at the very least. So probably just talk as a class, okay, on who will bring the all-purpose cream. Now you don't need much, okay? So basically, you will mix again different solutions, okay, or different compositions of all-purpose cream, distilled water, pancreatin, and bile salt, okay? So D and E will sort of act as our negative control because we have pancreatin, or sorry, we don't have pancreatin in D and E, while F and G, all right, will be our positive control, but we will look at the effect of bile salt. Now, bile salt will act as an emulsifier of lipids. When you emulsify lipids, you make it easier to digest. Okay, so that's the effect or the theoretical effect of biosalt. So here you will again need to incubate your test tubes at 37 degrees Celsius, but this time for a much longer time of 45 minutes. Okay, I will warm up your all-purpose cream at the beginning of the experiment. Now, by the way, the all-purpose cream will be the source of our lipids. No? All-purpose cream is rich in fats. Okay, so if it's difficult to measure the volume of the cream, it's fine. You just have to estimate it. You don't have uh, to exactly get to ml. Alright? You measure the initial pH by immersing the pH paper strips into the mixture. Okay, when the paper is thoroughly wet, you have to wipe away the excess cream using your tissue so that you can accurately compare the color of the strips with the pH color chart. Now, if the pH strips are unavailable, then we can use the methyl red. Okay, so this is just an alternative. Okay, so we will use methyl red and we will take note of the color, right, no, of the methyl red upon dropping your methyl red onto the lipid. Okay, so when you drop the methyl red, okay, you should not mix, okay, the methyl red. All right, you look at the point of contact where the methyl red comes into contact with the all-purpose cream. Check the color. Okay, so you determine the approximate pH by comparing it with this transition range. If you want, you can print this and paste this in your lab journal. All right. Then finally, we will also look at the digestion of carbohydrates in the small intestine by your pancreatine. All right. And we will look at the effect of pH and sodium carbonate. Okay. So here you will perform Felling's test and iodine test similar to what was done in part 1, right? To check for the hydrolysis of or the extent of hydrolysis of your starch. Okay, so just some reminders before I end this short pre-lab discussion. You have to prepare water bath at the start of your lab, no, at 37 degrees Celsius. You must borrow a large beaker, okay, and add enough water such that 15 test tubes can fit at one time. Again, 15 test tubes is optional. Now you can choose to do this by batch, okay, if you have enough time. All right, and just to remind you of the incubation times, no, 30 minutes, 45, 30, 30. So total is about 135 minutes. So even if you do it part by part, you will actually end early, no, if you act quickly. All right, but again, no, you can do it as a combination of two parts. All right, and I think you will finish we will finish early. All right, and after this experiment, no, we will also be doing laboratory checkout. Okay, because this will be our last experiment for the term. Okay, then I think that's the end of our pre-lab discussion. Thank you everyone for watching this video.